Good morning. Bonjour tout le monde, dear committee members, dear participants. Thank you all for connecting. And before we begin, I'd just like to make a few logistical announcements for the meeting. Firstly, concerning interpretation. The debates will be interpreted in English and French, which are the working languages of the committee. And at the bottom of your screen, you can find the button to select the interpretation language. We are working on the Zoom platform, and in order to take the floor, you will need to connect to the session using an active meeting link. If you require an active meeting link, please register through the web page indicated on the screens, as you can see now on the screens. And in case of any technical problems, please write to the Secretariat at ichmeetings@unesco.org. That's ichmeetings@unesco.org. Please also be advised that the debates of the meeting will be transmitted by webcast in real time through the web page of the convention. I think we are now ready to start, and we have the honor of having the ADG of the culture sector with us, Mr. Ernesto Otone. Please.
Thank you, team. Welcome to all. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the committee, state parties of the convention, and observers connecting from around the world. I'm aware that it is a very busy period for all of us. Under the 2003 convention, a series of statutory meetings have been taking place. This is already the 11th statutory meeting of this year. And in this demanding context, I'm grateful for your dedication and commitment. This extraordinary session was convened at the request of the committee at its 16th session at the end of last year to discuss the results of Part 3 meeting of the Open-Ended Intergovernmental Working Group held on 25th, 26th April 2022 in the framework of the global reflection on the listing mechanism. The recommendations of the working group are being presented to the committee in the form of revisions of the operational directives. With the endorsement to the committee, these proposed revisions will be presented to the 9th session of the General Assembly that begins next week. The global reflection took place in 3 parts. The Part 1 and Part 2 meetings of the Open-Ended Working Group took place in July and September last year. They dealt with the priority topics identified by the governing bodies of the Convention. The recommendation of Part 1 and Part 2 meetings were presented in the form of the proposed revision to the operational directives. They were endorsed by the 16th session of the committee at the end of last year. The Part 3 meeting of the Open-Ended Working Group took place in April this year. The working group discussed issues related to the annual number of files and related aspects, such as the composition and working methods of the evaluation body, as well as other technical matters. We are meeting in this 5th extraordinary session of the committee in order to approve the recommendation of the Part 3 meeting of the working group, once again in the form of the proposed revision to the operational directives. Next week, the 9th session of the General Assembly, which will be held from 5th to 7th July, will approve the revisions to the operational directives, as endorsed by both the 16th session of the committee and this 5th extraordinary session of the committee. This will cover the recommendation of all 3 parts of the working group. This is a real achievement, as the approval will conclude the global reflection, which has been ambitious in its scope and technically very complicated. I'm aware that a great deal of work has gone into the preparation of the proposed revision to the operational directives that you will be examining today. First and foremost, allow me to recognize the efforts of the working group, who prepared the recommendation through its Part 3 meeting. A special thanks must go to the chairperson of the working group, our dear Ambassador Oike from Japan, whose able leadership made it possible for the working group to conclude its work. I would like to take this opportunity to especially thank the government of Japan for their financial support throughout the whole reflection process. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to draw your attention to the additional item on our agenda. This relates to the request made by Ukraine on 21st April this year to examine as soon as possible the nomination culture of Ukrainian borscht cooking as a case of extreme urgency in reference to Article 17.3 of the Convention. This is the first time in the history of the Convention that we will be applying this provision. Following the proposal of the Bureau at its meeting on 23rd June, which considered the recommendation of the evaluation body and the subsequent electronic exchange with committee members, the provisional agenda of this extraordinary session was revised on 28 June to include the request by Ukraine. Dear committee members, I would like to underline the speed at which we were able to process this request. Thanks to the efforts of all those involved, we were able to ensure the treatment of the request by Ukraine within 10 weeks of its submission. This reflects the potential of the 2003 Convention mechanism to be flexible in response to situations of extreme urgency. With this in mind, I wish you all a fruitful deliberation and thanks to all. Okay.